They didn't just leave. One day you were the main character. The next, you weren't even in the book. You were not a chapter. You were a line, a single sentence, decided to cross out, hoping no one would notice the ink was still wet. But the universe keeps receipts, and justice isn't about a lightning strike from the heavens. It's quieter. It's slower. It's the sound of their world falling apart in complete silence. So, what happens when the karma they earned is not the noise of a storm, but the slow, creeping dread of their own company? You are sitting in a courtroom that exists only in your mind. There is no judge, there is no jury. The text message that changed everything. The look in their eye when the mask slipped. The deafening silence of being ghosted, discarded, disrespected. You were wronged. And a part of you, the part that still bleeds, believes that balance will only be restored when they are forced to feel a pain equal to the one they so casually inflicted. So you watch, you wait, you look for signs, a crack in their perfect, curated life online. A whisper of misfortune from a mutual friend, a hint of struggle in their eyes. You are waiting for a verdict that may never come, for an apology that will never be written. This desire for justice, it is not a weakness. It is the primal cry of a wound that wants to be seen. It is the echo of your own value. Epictetus, the statesman Seneca, they knew something profound about justice. They knew it wasn't an external event. It wasn't about watching your enemies fall. True justice is an internal process. It is the natural, unavoidable consequence of a life lived without virtue. The real punishment isn't a dramatic downfall. It is the slow, quiet, agonizing erosion of the soul. The karma you are looking for is not a storm that strikes them from the outside. It is the creeping drought that withers their spirit from within. The signs are there, but they are not loud. They are not obvious. They are written in the language of silence, emptiness, and quiet desperation. And to see them, you must first stop watching their life and start understanding the unbreakable laws of character. It begins with a feeling, a subtle shift in the atmosphere around them. The first sign that their actions are catching up to them is not that people leave them, but that genuine connection becomes impossible. Their world shrinks. It doesn't collapse in a day. It closes in inch by inch until they are living inside a fortress of their own making. Think back to the moment they betrayed your trust. In that single act, they did not just break a bond with you. They taught themselves that loyalty is conditional, that words can be weapons, that relationships are disposable. And now they must live with that lesson. They begin to see their own capacity for betrayal in everyone they meet. A partner's affection is scrutinized for ulterior motives. Every alliance is temporary. Every conversation a strategic maneuver. Their relationships become transactional, hollow things built for convenience, not for the soul. They might look popular at a party or in a photograph, smiling, surrounded by a crowd. But look closer. Look past the performance. There is the constant, low-grade hum of anxiety. They are the lonely monarch of an empty kingdom, forever checking the locks on the doors, forever seeing assassins in the shadows. Seneca, a man who navigated the treacherous courts of Nero, understood this perfectly. He wrote, "Every guilty person is his own hangman." Their wrongdoing isn't a single event in the past. It becomes the lens through which they see the entire future. It becomes a set of mirrors lining the walls of their inner fortress. everywhere. They look, they do not see the world as it is. They see their own untrustworthiness reflected back at them 1,000 times over. They wonder, if I could do it, why couldn't they? This question becomes the ghost that haunts their every interaction. It erodes their ability to be vulnerable, to be open, to be truly seen, inside a prison of their own suspicion. And here is where your power emerges. Not in pointing out their prison, not in rattling the bars. Your power move is to do the complete opposite. You learn to trust again, but wisely. You do not let their poison ruin your soil. You invest in people who value honesty. You build connections based on mutual respect and shared vulnerability. You laugh, and it is real. You connect, and it is deep. While their world becomes a cold, polished echo chamber of fear, yours becomes a warm, thriving, messy, beautiful ecosystem of genuine bonds. They are trapped in their hall of mirrors, forever wrestling with their own reflection, trying to decide if the person smiling back is a friend or a future betrayer. You, on the other hand, are free. You are walking in the open air under a wide sky, learning that the actions of one person do not have to define the landscape of your entire life. You are building a world of trust while they are locked in a fortress of suspicion, and from a distance, they will see the light coming from your world. They will see your ease, your connections, your peace, and they will wonder why their own fortress, built to keep them safe, feels so much like a tomb. Themselves in. Observe what they celebrate. It's the next sign, and it's always on public display. You see it on your phone. A post about a new car they can barely afford. A picture from a vacation designed to look effortless but screaming with need. A promotion at a job they secretly hate. They frame these moments as victories, as proof that they are thriving, that leaving you or wronging you was the best decision they ever made. They need you to see it. They need everyone to see it. When a person's inner world is a landscape of chaos and shame, they become desperate for external validation. They need constant, tangible proof from the outside world that they are okay, that they are worthy, that they are winning. This frantic chase for empty victories is the second sign that their internal compass is broken. The Stoic teacher, Epictetus, taught one of the most powerful principles for a resilient mind: distinguish what is in our control from what is not. In our control are our judgments, our intentions, our character, our responses. On what is within our control, the person who wronged you has lost this distinction entirely. They have outsourced their self-worth to the most unreliable sources imaginable: the likes on a photo, public opinion, and material desire. Each win is a temporary fix. It's a short, sharp hit of dopamine that numbs the inner ache for a day, maybe a week, but it always fades. The new car gets a scratch. The praise for the promotion dies down. The vacation ends. And when the external validation disappears, the internal emptiness rushes back in, louder and more demanding than before. This leaves them feeling more hollow, more desperate, forcing them to chase the next fleeting victory with even more urgency. They are not building a life, they are chasing the wind. This is where you find your silent power. This is where you begin to truly heal. You see their frantic chase, and instead of feeling envy or inadequacy, you feel a quiet sense of clarity. You begin to understand. Your victory is not found in a new possession, but in your ability to remain undisturbed by the lack of one. Your victory is not in getting praise from others, but in approving of yourself when no one is watching. You celebrate your resilience. You celebrate your integrity. You celebrate the peace of your own quiet mind. You find joy in a walk, in a deep conversation, in the mastery of a new skill, building a sandcastle right at the edge of the water. They work frantically, desperately, building elaborate towers and walls. They are not building it for the joy of building. They are building it for the people walking by on the beach. They scream with every bucket of sand. They live for the brief moments of admiration from strangers, but they have built on unstable ground. The tide of their own emptiness, of their own unaddressed actions, is always coming in, and it will wash the entire fragile structure away, leaving them with nothing but wet sand and the need. You are now building on bedrock. Your sense of self is not a castle for others to admire. It is the solid ground beneath your feet, unmovable, unshakable, yours. So let them chase, let them post their victories, let them collect their fleeting trophies. They are caught in a game you are no longer playing. And the real victory, the one they can never possess, is the peace that comes from knowing you don't need to play at all. Now, you must learn to listen, not with your ears, but with your intuition. Listen for the dissonance. The third, and perhaps most undeniable, sign that karma is at work is the growing, yawning chasm between the person they claim to be and the life they actually live. Their words and their reality declare war on each other. You will see them post a quote about kindness hours after you know they have been cruel. They will write a long caption about the importance of loyalty, knowing their entire history is a graveyard of broken alliances. They will preach about peace and letting go, while you know for a fact that their life is a tangled web of self-created drama and chaos. This is not simple hypocrisy. It runs deeper than that. It is a sign of a deep internal fracture. The soul, the psyche, cannot endure such a profound disconnect for long without consequences. They are trying to hold two opposing realities at once, the fantasy of who they wish they were, and the truth of who they have chosen to be. The Roman philosopher, Seneca, a master of observing human nature, said it with chilling simplicity. If you want to be well regarded, you must be what you want to appear. It's a simple formula for integrity. Align your actions with your words. The person who wronged you is doing the exact opposite. They are desperately trying to paint a masterpiece of themselves with words, while their life remains a crude, messy, unfinished sketch. They use language not to express truth, but to conceal it. Their talk of good vibes only is a smokescreen to hide the negativity they generate. Their declarations of self-love are a desperate attempt to convince themselves they are worthy of it, even when their actions are not. Maintaining this disconnect is spiritually, emotionally, and mentally exhausting. Think of the sheer psychic energy it requires, the energy to maintain the facade, to constantly manage the performance of being a good person, all while knowing deep down that you are not living that truth. It is a full-time job, and the pay is misery. They are fighting a losing battle against their own nature, and the strain will always, eventually, begin to show. It shows in their frantic energy. It shows in their defensiveness. It shows in the way they over-explain themselves, trying to patch the holes in their story. Your power move here is perhaps the most profound and the most difficult, because it requires you to do nothing at all. You make your actions your only argument. You stop explaining. You stop defending your side of the story. You stop trying to prove your reality to people who are committed to their fantasy. You simply live. You practice quiet kindness. You honor your commitments. You protect your peace. You live a life that is a single, coherent statement. While they are lost in a thesaurus of empty virtues, you become a living, breathing example of one. You don't have to talk about integrity. You just have to be a person of your word. You don't have to post about peace. You just have to be a peaceful presence. In doing so, you become the silent, unarguable fact that exposes their fiction. You don't have to call them a liar. Your quiet, consistent truth does it for you. Your life, lived with integrity, becomes the tuning fork that reveals how out of tune they truly are. They can argue with your words. They can twist your narrative. But they cannot argue with the reality of a life well lived. They are at war with themselves. You are at peace with yourself. And what greater sign of justice is there than that? When you were a part of their life, you served a purpose far beyond friendship or love. You were a utility. You were an audience for their drama. You were a scapegoat for their failures. You were a distraction from their own emptiness. Your reactions, your pain, your anger, your tears, your desperate pleas for understanding, they fed something in them. Your emotional output filled a void, gave them a sense of importance, and, most critically, allowed them to cast you in the role of the problem. You're too sensitive. You're overthinking things. You're the one causing all this drama. As long as you were reacting, they had someone to blame. Now that has stopped. The fourth sign is the one they feel most acutely, the deafening, crushing silence created by your absence. You have not just left, you have removed your energy from their equation. And in doing so, you have taken away their favorite mirror. Before, when they looked at you, they could see a reflection of their own narrative. They saw your pain and called it instability. They saw your anger and called it aggression. They used your reactions to absolve themselves of their actions. Now, when they look for you, there is nothing there. There is only a blank space, a vacuum. And in that vacuum, they are forced to confront the one person they have spent their entire life avoiding, themselves. There is no one left to blame. There is no drama to distract them. There is only the quiet, haunting echo of their own choices. This is the raw, untamed power of Stoic non-reaction. You did not seek revenge. You did not launch a smear campaign. You did not fight fire with fire. You simply walked away. You withdrew your presence. You became emotionally unavailable to their chaos. This is not a passive act. It is an act of immense strength. It is the decision to stop participating in a game you can't win. Imagine a loud, chaotic room filled with shouting and clatter. It's overwhelming, but it's also a distraction. The person who wronged you lived in that noise, and your reactions were the loudest sound. By leaving, you have flipped a switch. The room has gone silent. All the background chatter, all the external noise is gone. And the only thing they can hear now is the ringing in their own ears, the sound of their own conscience. Your emotional detachment becomes their unwilling teacher. They may lash out at first, trying to provoke a reaction, trying to get the noise started again. They need you to be angry. They need you to be hurt. because your pain is more comfortable for them than their own emptiness. But you hold the line. You do not engage. You are not holding a grudge. You have simply become indifferent. An indifferent person cannot be manipulated. An indifferent person cannot be blamed. You have become the quiet, serene landscape they can no longer pollute. You have become the mountain that does not tremble when they scream at it. They feel this not as a direct attack, but as a profound and deeply unsettling loss. The space in their life that was once filled with your energy, your love, your attention. Even your anger is now a stark monument to their own decisions. It's a hole in their reality that they can't fill, a silence they can't break. And every time they are confronted by that silence, they are confronted by themselves. What happens when the only person left in the room is the one they betrayed? Sooner or later, you will start to see it. It will come to you not as a dramatic revelation, but as a slow, dawning sense of familiarity. You will hear through the grapevine or see a vague post online about a new drama in their life. A new friendship that has spectacularly imploded. A new romantic partner who is suddenly the villain. A new job where, once again, they are the victim of unfair treatment. At first, you might feel a pang of something pity, perhaps, or even a flicker of satisfaction. But then, you will listen closer and you will realize you have heard this story before. The details are different, the names have changed, but the core narrative is identical. The same accusations, the same self-pity, the same bewildering lack of self-awareness. This is the fifth and one of the most tragic signs of their internal punishment. They are trapped in a loop. They are a character in a play, condemned to repeat the same act night after night, because they refuse to learn their lines. They blame the new cast members. They blame the lighting. They blame the stage directions. They blame the audience. They blame anyone and everyone except the author of their own script, themselves. They are living an unexamined life. And as the Stoics knew, an unexamined life is a form of slavery. When we do not reflect on our actions, when we do not take responsibility for our choices, we become slaves to our worst impulses. We are no longer steering the ship. We are merely passengers, destined to crash on the same rocks, over and over again. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, saw life not as a dance, but as a wrestling match. A dance is predictable. A wrestling match requires you to be firm, balanced, and ready for the unexpected, to learn from every fall, every opponent. The person who wronged you keeps tripping over their own feet in exactly the same way, and then blames the floor. They believe their problems are a series of unfortunate, disconnected external events. They fail time and time again to see the one common denominator in all of their misfortunes: their own character. The emotional payoff for you is not in watching them fail. The true, liberating payoff is the sudden, profound realization that it was never about you. Their betrayal, their cruelty, their disrespect wasn't a reflection of your worth. It was simply their turn to play out their loop with you as a co-star. You were just the latest cast member in a play they have been performing their whole life. Seeing their pattern is what finally sets you free from your own, the pain they caused. You became your catalyst. It forced you to look in the mirror. It forced you to examine your own patterns, your own choices, your own contribution to the dynamic. It hurt, but it forced you to grow. You learned your lines. You rewrote your script. You walked off their stage and began building your own. The metaphor is that of a ghost ship caught in a dark, relentless whirlpool. Its sails are tattered. Its rudder is broken. It is doomed to circle the same patch of dark water for eternity, mistaking the violent motion for progress. You were once on that ship, caught in the dizzying spin, but you jumped. You swam through the cold water, you fought the current, and you reached the shore. Now, standing on solid ground, you have learned to build your own vessel. You have harnessed the winds of your past, not to be blown about by them, but to steer yourself toward open water. And from the shore, you can see their ship, still circling, still trapped, still going nowhere. And you feel not anger, but a quiet, somber peace. The peace of having escaped. What do they do when the applause stops? What happens when they are alone in their car with the radio off? What fills the space between the moment their head hits the pillow and the moment sleep finally comes? The sixth sign is not found in their actions, but in their frantic avoidance of inaction. It is a desperate, pathological fear of stillness. They cannot simply be, they must constantly do. Their life becomes a blur of perpetual motion, a social calendar so packed there is no room to breathe, a phone that is never out of their hand, a fire hose of endless scrolling, memes, and validation, serial relationships, jumping from one person to the next, so they never have to face the awkward silence of being single. A dozen projects started with manic enthusiasm, only to be abandoned when they require quiet, focused effort. Do not mistake this for ambition. Do not confuse this with passion. This is not the energy of creation. This is the energy of flight. They are running. They are running from the quiet, simple, devastating truth of who they are when no one else is around. They are running from the verdict of their own conscience, which only speaks in the quiet moments. The philosopher Seneca observed this in the wealthy Romans of his day, who would travel from villa to villa, hoping a change of scenery would cure their troubled minds. He wrote, "It is not the place that is the problem, but the person. They travel, but they bring their chaos with them. It is their most loyal companion. And so, no matter where they go, there they are. The person who wronged you believes that if they just keep moving, if they just stay busy enough, if they just fill every second with enough noise and distraction, the truth of their actions can't catch up to them. But it always does. It's in the pause between songs on their playlist. It's in the face of a new person who asks a genuine, probing question about their past. It's in the lonely quiet of a Sunday morning their entire existence becomes a complex, exhausting strategy to outrun themselves. The noise is their shield. The busyness is their armor. But it is armor made of paper and your power. It is your fearless embrace of the very thing they are running from, stillness. You have learned to sit in the quiet. You have had to. The pain they left you with demanded it. You couldn't outrun it, so you had to face it. You sat with the grief, the anger, the shame. You learned its contours, its weight, its texture. And by sitting with it, by not running, you learned that it would not kill you. You processed it. You integrated it. You transformed it. You discovered that solitude is not the same as loneliness. Solitude is not an emptiness to be feared, but a sacred space for clarity, for strength, for hearing your own voice again. You can be alone with your thoughts because you have worked to make your thoughts a safe place to be. They are a hurricane of frantic activity, a storm of noise and light, all designed to drown out a single quiet whisper within you. You have walked into the eye of your own storm, and you have found that it is perfectly calm. You have become the silence they are so terrified of, and in that silence you have found a peace they cannot buy, a peace they cannot fake, a peace they will never find as long as they keep running. In the beginning, they will see your transformation and misinterpret it completely. They will see your silence and call it surrender. They will see your calm and call it weakness. They will see your refusal to engage in their drama and believe it means they have won. From their world of noise, conflict, and ego, your peace looks like defeat. They've finally given up, they might think, with a smug sense of satisfaction. They couldn't handle it. I broke them. They mistake your dignity for despair. Let them. This misinterpretation is a necessary part of the process. They are judging your internal world by their own broken standards. But then, over time, something will begin to shift. They will continue to fight their battles, chase their fleeting victories, and run from their own ghosts. And they will look over at you, expecting to see you shattered. But you are not. You are not broken. You are not bitter. You are not waiting by the phone. You are .com. You are thriving, not in a loud, boastful, look how great my life is now kind of way, but with a quiet, solid, unshakable dignity. You are smiling, and it reaches your eyes. You are building, and your foundations are deep. You are living, and your life has a peaceful, steady rhythm to it. This is the final, most powerful sign. It is the moment they stop seeing your peace as weakness and begin to see it as an unobtainable prize. It is the moment they realize you didn't surrender, you transcended. You didn't lose the game. You simply stopped playing and walked off the board. And they, standing alone in the middle of their chaotic, self-made battlefield, will begin to crave that serenity. They will see in your peace everything that is missing in their own life. They will see in your quiet strength the power they have been chasing through noise and dominance. They will see in your genuine connections the intimacy they have sacrificed for control. This is the moment their karma truly comes home to roost. It's not that they fall, it's that they see how high you have risen. They might even try to mimic it. Suddenly, their social media will be filled with posts about meditation, mindfulness, or letting go of negativity. They will adopt the language of healing without ever tending to their own wounds. It is a hollow performance, a costume of tranquility, worn over a soul in turmoil. They want the fruit of virtue without the labor of planting the tree. They want the peace of a clear conscience without the inconvenience of earning one. The Stoic goal was a state they called apatheia, not apathy, but a state of serene tranquility, a mind free from the disturbance of irrational passions. It is the mind of the sage who sees the world clearly and is not tossed about by hope or fear. You, through your pain and your work, have moved towards apatheia. You have built your inner citadel. They, through their choices, have moved in the opposite direction, becoming more and more enslaved by their ego, their fears, and their desires. They see in you the paradise they willingly burned down. They see the quiet harbor they abandoned for the thrill of a raging sea, only to find the sea is cold, lonely, and relentless. They don't just feel the consequences of their actions anymore. They see them living and breathing in the calm, steady powerful rhythm of your heart. And so, you have seen the signs, the fortress of mirrors they live inside, the frantic chase for hollow trophies, the war between their words and their world, the way they are haunted by your silence, the endless repeating loop of their own, making their terror of the quiet moments, and finally their desperate craving for the peace they see in you. There is a part of the human ego, the part that was wounded and left bleeding, that finds a dark satisfaction in this. It is the part that whispers, "Good, they deserve it." But to linger here, to make a home in this place of quiet observation, is to remain tethered to them. It is to allow them to continue to occupy the most valuable real estate you own, the space inside your head. To watch them, even as they falter, is to keep them at the center of your story. The journey does not end here. This is the final turn. In the road, the ultimate sign that justice has been served, that the universe has found its balance, has nothing to do with them at all. It has everything to do with you. It is the moment you stop looking for signs. It is the moment you forget to check their social media. It is the moment a mutual friend brings up their name and you feel nothing, not anger, not pain, not even pity, just a vast, peaceful, indifferent emptiness. It is the moment their fate, whether they are rising or falling, becomes completely and utterly irrelevant to the state of your own soul. The final victory is not caring whether you won or lost, because you have finally realized you are no longer playing their game. You have walked away from the board, and you are busy creating a new game with new rules on a new plane of existence. A game based on integrity, peace, and self-mastery. The great Stoic emperor, Marcus Aurelius, a man who dealt with betrayal and incompetence on a daily basis, wrote the final prescription for this journey in his private journal. It is the only piece of wisdom that can truly set you free, that can cauterize the wound for good. He wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Read those words again, not to harm them back, not to watch them suffer, not to gloat at their self-inflicted misery. The best revenge is to become so fundamentally different from them, so rooted in your own virtue, so committed to your own tranquility, so unshakably dedicated to your own growth that their memory, and the pain attached to it, loses all of its power. The justice you were so desperately seeking is not found in their suffering. It is found in your transformation. You are no longer the victim in their cheap, tragic play. You are the hero of your own epic. You are the architect of your inner citadel. You are the master of your own soul. You have turned their poison into your medicine. You have turned your deepest wound into your greatest strength. And in that, you will find a peace so profound, so complete, and so powerful that no revenge could ever hope to offer it. Subscribe for more.